server where you can chat with other libertarian types and not so libertarian types. It's open there for anybody who has an opinion to join in over at discord.lrn.fm. There are different chat rooms there. And, of course, there's the one for Free Talk Live, which is the most active, I would say, during our show. But before, during, and after Free Talk Live, you can get interactive with some of the hosts and a bunch of the listeners at discord.lrn.fm. Coming up here tonight, there's stuff in the news to talk about, but I would say breaking news at this point. And this may be an exclusive interview here. Christopher Cantwell, the so-called crying Nazi, the libertarian turned white supremacist turned political prisoner, is now out from state custody. He is driving out of Virginia. Longtime listeners, of course, remember Chris Cantwell was a host on this show for a couple of years until we had to kick him off due to a racist turn that he made. He then showed up in Charlottesville, Virginia last year. I think it was in August or late July, early August, where he was arrested as part of a protest that went south. There were some Antifa folks there who were apparently agitating for a fight, and arguably some of the folks in the white supremacists were also agitating for a fight, and a fight happened regardless of who was on what side and so on and so forth. They arrested you, Chris Cantwell, and you're now driving out of Virginia, having apparently taken a plea deal. There's a lot to tell. I want to bring our listeners up to, to snuff with the situation if they're new to the story. So, give us as brief of a recap as possible, because you were very confident you were going to win this trial coming up, and I guess that's why they took it down from a felony and you pled down to a misdemeanor, right? Because they wouldn't have been able to prove their case.
Yeah, about 11 months ago, I left my house and I was going to Virginia for a couple of weeks. I've been here ever since. I came down here for the Unite the Right rally. It was scheduled for August 12th of 2017. The night before that, we had a torchlit march on the University of Virginia campus. And the communist agitators, the Antifas, they confronted us during that because they'd infiltrated. They were tracking us and looking for opportunities to attack us, and they attacked us at the Jefferson Monument on the University of Virginia campus. I had deployed pepper spray against one of these violent criminals in defense of myself and others, and I was later informed that it's difficult for me to tell the story if I'm honest with you guys, because I'm not allowed to talk about the witnesses in my case. So some part of this is going to be kind of vague, okay?
So is there part of is this part of the deal that you cut, that you're not allowed to talk about those? And could you even answer that question?
Yeah, I'm not allowed as a part of the deal, I'm not allowed to discuss the witnesses in my case. So I'm going to have to skip over.
Well, I can say this, because I didn't take a deal. So my understanding with some of these witnesses against you is that at least one of them left town completely, left the United States, and was unable, at least that's the last I heard. I don't know if that person returned, and obviously you can't answer that question, but last I heard that person had skipped out basically and was not going to be available to testify. And presumably that's because their testimony would have been manufactured and provably false. So there was video of the incident in question, of the actual pepper spraying and the fight that went down. You were very confident that they didn't have a case against you for this, that this was an act of self-defense, and ultimately this.
But the statute didn't give an exemption for self-defense. It just said it is illegal to discharge pepper spray.
What are your comments on that, Chris?
But it used like a different word.
Let me clarify. So, suffice it to say, the person who I pepper sprayed was not a person who accused me of pepper spraying them. And I was very lucky that all this video existed, because the video pretty definitively disproved the accusations against me. Now, to Darryl's point about the statute, anything that you're not, when you do something in self-defense, Virginia has self-defense laws, okay? And so if you deploy pepper spray defensively, that is legal. You're allowed to break the, deployment of pepper spray law to defend yourself.
If it's in self-defense, that's sort of like how when Rich Paul, who is also a co-host here on Free Talk Live, when he was out on not bail conditions, but probation, one of the terms was you can't use a weapon. as part of, you can't have a weapon, possess a weapon as part of the probation.
Well, as part of being a felon, you can't possess a weapon.
Sure, but it was definitely as part of, right. You're correct about that. But you could have like a, you can't have a gun as a felon, but I'm pretty sure you could have like a pipe or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know all the rules.
The definition of weapon in New Hampshire is so vague to where anything is a weapon if it is threatened to be used or intended to be used.
Well, in his case, he was attacked, and he wielded a pipe, or I think it was like a monopod for a video camera in self-defense. And they
had converted some type of pipe into a monopod.
Okay, well, I don't know what it was, but he had something that he had purportedly for video camera purpose, and he used it as in self-defense. And ultimately, they came at him with a violation of probation for that. And he, with a public defender, actually successfully defended against that and won, because even if he had been in a fight, he could have picked up a gun. You know, if one had become available in a fight, he could have picked it up in order to defend himself. So he certainly would have been able to pick up a pipe or something like that, or have a pipe.
Yeah, when your safety is in danger, in reasonable jurisdictions, you know, you're allowed to do what's necessary to protect yourself, right? And, you know, the state of Virginia has pretty reasonable self-defense laws. You know, the problem that we ran into in Charlottesville is that there was all this war propaganda published against us before we even got there. I mean, you know, we applied for a permit when we did the UVA march. We coordinated with law enforcement. There's audio and video recordings of me saying I will not participate in this thing unless we're cooperating with the cops. So, but there was all this propaganda that was put out that, like, oh, the Nazis are coming to the town and they're here to, you know, kill, you know, black people and Jews and all this nonsense, which was absolutely not what was planned, right? It was a permitted demonstration. But they propagandized everybody because they hate us and they hate our politics, and they intended to use violence against us, and that was their pretext for it. And so when this violence erupted, which was absolutely instigated by the communists, you know, they basically, the city of Charlottesville and the county of Albemarle, they just acted like we had no right to defend ourselves, right? And so, you know, there was the incident with DeAndre Harris where my friends, Jacob Goodwin, Daniel Borden, and a couple other guys, they ended up, this guy had bashed somebody's head open with a flashlight, and he came after them, and they ended up beating this guy up. And because the guy was black, they basically just said, oh, the Nazis went and beat up a black person for no reason at all. And they ended up convicting Jacob Goodwin of malicious wounding, even though Jacob just kicked the guy twice and didn't cause any wounds. The jury gave Jacob Goodwin a decade in prison for kicking a guy twice in a brawl, you know? And so... And you say that person initiated violence, and this was an immediate response against initiated violence? Yeah, well, I'll tell you, like, the violence that guy was doing violence all over the city that day. He assaulted numerous people, one of whom was a guy by the name of Harold Cruz. And the city went and they charged DeAndre Harris with unlawful wounding, which is a lower charge than malicious wounding, which they gave all of our guys. And then they dropped his charge down to a misdemeanor, and then they put him on a bench trial, and the judge found him not guilty. We got more coming up here, so, Chris. You also were facing felony charges, but those are now plead down to a misdemeanor. I want to find out more about your sentence and, you know, how you ended up getting out today, if you don't mind. Stick with us here. Christopher Cantwell is with us here on Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number.
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh! My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished.
Dinovite
is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
The easiest thing in the world for a reader to do is to stop reading, according to the late, great Barney Kilgore, who became managing editor of the Wall Street Journal in 1941 and grew the paper's circulation from 33,000 to 1 million by the 60s. And he'd be pleased to know that his paper is one of the few that people now pay to read online. Someone else pre-internet who realized that attention is fragile? Motown Records founder Berry Gordy. In the early 60s, when his label dominated the charts, he'd bring a dozen real people into the Hitsville, USA studios and audition songs. And he'd ask, if you were down to your last dollar, would you spend it on this record or would you buy a sandwich? Today, attention span seems like an oxymoron. For tips on cutting through the clutter, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind here. We do have other things in the news we're talking about, including since we're talking about court-related things here, we got Christopher Cantwell on the line with us. There's good news, actually, out of Georgia, where a jury's found a man not guilty who was growing marijuana. So a little bit of jury nullification. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
A lot of libertarians got to know Tom Woods during the Ron Paul campaigns of 2008 and 2012. And Tom is a New York Times best-selling author. He's written over a dozen books, including The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History. Since September of 2013, Tom Woods has been putting out his own show, The Tom Woods Show, every single weekday, which means he's racked up over nearly 1,200 episodes so far. Guests have included folks like Ron Paul, Judge Andrew Napolitano, David Stockman, and hundreds more, including topics like war, the Federal Reserve, net neutrality, the FDA, Austrian economics, and many other subjects of interest to libertarians. Find the Tom Woods Show online at tomwoods.com or search for Tom Woods Show in your favorite podcatcher. It's Ian and Darryl as we continue here with a special guest. Surprise to, I think, a lot of people that Christopher Cantwell will not be spending any more time behind bars in Virginia.
You won't be spending any more time in Virginia for the next 5 years.
Yeah, Darryl,
according to NBC.
Darryl just put up some sort of mainstream media report here on your plea deal that you took today. You are actually calling us on Telegram as you're leaving, so you can actually hear the car noise in the background. You are literally driving out of Virginia as we speak. And so tell us a little bit more, Chris Cantwell, for listeners who aren't familiar. You were arrested last year in August in Charlottesville. You sort of became the face of this despicable white supremacist movement. I'm not sure what you call it, alt-right. You're a former libertarian, former host of this show until we had to kick you off for becoming a racist. But now here you are, and you're out of Virginia. What was? I mean, obviously, there's you can tell us about something about this sentencing, about this plea deal. You said you can't talk about the so-called victims in the case, but what have you been sentenced to? How did it go? Tell us about that.
All right, so I pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of assault and battery today, and I had already spent 107 days in jail. In Albemarle County, you get, you do half your time on a misdemeanor, okay? So with 107 days in jail, I've got credit for 214. So I was sentenced to a year in jail on each count to be run concurrent, all but 7 months suspended, which means I basically got 5 months, or with the time I've got in, 73 days in the county jail hangs over my head if I violate the conditions of my good behavior.
Gotcha.
And the conditions of my good behavior are to obviously stay out of jail on other charges, to not enter the Commonwealth of Virginia for 5 years, and to not discuss the witnesses in my case.
Well, I suspect you don't have a problem not going back to Virginia. I imagine that's going to be a place you'd like to stay out of in the future.
Well, let me say this about that. What happened last August is a very serious problem that everybody in America should be really concerned about, okay? Whatever you think about my ideas and however little effort anybody puts into understanding them, what you do not want in your country is communist riots to become a successful political tactic, okay? And right now, that's the state of affairs in the United States of America, that communists riot in the streets, attack people unprovoked over politics, and they get what they want. And I think that that's a very serious problem. And so the truth of the matter is, I'd love to come back to Virginia. I'd love to come back to Charlottesville with 1,000 armed men and make sure that this tactic does not prove successful. However, I'm going to have to wait 5 years to do that.
Well, I mean, it didn't seem like it worked too well the first time, but I get what you're saying. It does certainly seem, and not just in the Charlottesville situation, it does seem like sort of these violent agitators on the left have been given some level of preference within the police and so-called justice system here in the United States. So I think there is something to that, this whole punch a Nazi thing. Look, I find racism to be a despicable viewpoint, but I will defend somebody's right to have despicable viewpoints and to express those despicable viewpoints. And I think that, there's organizations out there like the ACLU who are, commonly seen as left-leaning, who would also stand in favor of those expressing viewpoints, even if they might be contrary to the individuals who are doing that defending.
Well, not anymore. You might want to read the statement that the ACLU put out in the last couple of months about exactly this. The American Civil Liberties Union gave up on free speech in the name of equality, okay? They are no longer going to defend so-called white supremacists, whatever the hell that means anymore, because that gets in the way of their communist agenda. And that really shows the true colors of these people, that it's not about, all of this freedom of speech stuff that they were pushing, it was never about freedom of speech. It was always about pushing a very specific agenda, and that agenda is, it's foundationally communist. And that's what the ACLU is about, and that's why they've abandoned their position on freedom of speech.
Well, I did see a headline about that. I did not actually look in detail to see what the allegations were, but it did seem to have to do with the National ACLU I mean, I've had plenty of interactions with the ACLU here in New Hampshire, and I can say I don't believe them to be communists. I don't think that there's any official position that takes, that they take in favor of anything like that. They seem to be relatively good on defending privacy, defending freedom of speech. Although that said, resources are finite, and if I couldn't blame them if they said, well, we have case A over here with this person who was violated for freedom of speech, and case B over here with this person who also happens to be a white supremacist, and we can only, spend so much lawyering time, so we're going to spend it on the person who wasn't a white supremacist. I mean, that ultimately is a market decision, and they're certainly free to make that choice. But, Christopher Cantwell, you've been sort of blogging along the way. You've been hosting a radio show, your show, Radical Agenda. It's a podcast. Is that going to continue, or has that also been suspended? I saw a notice on your website about perhaps some sort of suspension due to some kind of dealings with court.
No. So what was posted today is the conclusion of stage 3 of the Radical Agenda, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I used to number Radical
Uh-oh.
Channel. It was like episode 340 or something like that, right? And then while I was in jail, I did what we called Live from SEG. I was podcasting from the jail. And when I got out, I decided to call that segment of the show Radical Agenda Stage 3. And now that I'm leaving the People's Democratic Republic of Virginia, Stage 3 has concluded. And when I return to the, well, I shouldn't say airwaves, because you guys are the ones lucky enough to have access to those things.
It wasn't luck.
When I return to, no, it's not luck. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. You guys are very good at what you do. When I return to broadcasting, then I will be calling that Radical Agenda Stage 4. So what you saw was the conclusion of Stage 3. Radical Agenda Stage 4 begins very, very soon.
Chris, I guess we'll see you when you get back up here to New Hampshire, unless, of course, police in other states have it out for you and manage to pick you off for some reason while you're driving back. I will wish you the best. You should never have been in as a political prisoner. Obviously, we don't agree with your viewpoint on race, but I appreciate your time and sharing the story with us here tonight. That's Christopher Cantwell. We got more coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
You can't print invoices without ink. You can't print status reports, spreadsheets, or that report due in 12 minutes without ink. No, you can't print anything without ink. Luckily, Staples has a huge selection of ink and toner in stock and at great prices every day. This week only, buy 1 HP ink at Staples and get a second 30% off. So stock up now, because you can't afford to run out of ink.
And Saturday, 7/21/18. See store associate or staples.com for details. Restrictions may apply.
This is Jessica Armand, creator of the fluoride-free oral care brand, My Magic Mud. You're going to love our new products. Our cutting-edge oral rinses deeply soothe your mouth and fight cavities naturally. Our breath spray, My Magic Mist, will invigorate your senses with essential oils of peppermint and eucalyptus. Our clinically proven toothpaste and tooth powders whiten your teeth and detoxify your mouth. Buy discounted bundles direct at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off with coupon code GCN10. mymagicmud.com.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well, it's the mafia that is so successful, that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes, that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free, take control of the airwaves here. Coming up, jury nullification is back in the news. And of course, jury nullification doesn't get enough news coverage. That's because it hardly ever happens. But we'll get into that. We'll tell you a little bit more about what happened down in Georgia to a marijuana grower who's walking free as a result of jury nullification. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
We've also got good news about Anarchapulco. It's coming back. And it's coming back to Acapulco, Mexico, February 14th through the 19th in 2019. This is the largest gathering of free thinkers, voluntarists, libertarians, and ANCAPs. And if you missed it previously, you don't want to miss this. It is an amazing lineup of speakers like Ron Paul. He's coming back. He was there this year. He's going to be back next year. So you didn't have to miss that. Judge Napolitano, Doug Casey, Larkin Rose, and many more. And of course, Free Talk Live will be there again. The various speakers will be discussing everything from entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, and personal relationships. It really does span the gamut. I described the crowd this year as everything from crypto hippies to crypto suits. It seemed like everybody was into cryptocurrency, and the attendees literally ranged from people who looked like they hadn't taken a bath in quite a long time to people who were very well kept and literally wearing suits. So it was the entire range.
Well,
of
in
people.
Jeffrey Tucker's defense, he does wear a suit and a bow tie when he goes camping.
It was more than just Jeffrey Tucker. I'll tell you that. The crowd was humongous, and it really is the biggest libertarian event out there, and it was a sellout this year, and it's expected to sell out again next year. So we will look forward to seeing you there. The good news is, for the first time, you'll actually get a discount for being a Free Talk Live listener from Anarchapulco. So go to anarchapulco.com. You can use code FTL, like Free Talk Live, and you'll knock 15% off the early bird rates, which expire on the 31st of this month. So you've got less than 2 weeks, about 10 more days, to go and get your early bird tickets. Lock them in now. If this sells out, you'll regret it, I imagine, later on. A lot of people told us, hey, man, it sounded like a really cool event when we were there broadcasting from it, and it really was. Anarchapulco.com, code FTL, like Free Talk Live. Let's go to Lloyd. He's calling us from Detroit. Lloyd, you're watching us online at cam.freetalklive.com. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Yeah, hey. I'm sorry, guys. That last segment was total horse crap.
Okay, what do you mean?
I can't believe you entertained that nonsense from Chris Cantwell. I really can't.
Look, I don't like what Chris Cantwell has to say, but what's the nonsense that he said today about, as far as I don't agree with racism, but I don't think somebody should be put behind bars simply because they defended themselves from being attacked.
Yeah, he says he defended himself. Yeah, that's a likely story. Here's the truth of why Chris Cantwell pled guilty to assault and battering someone. It's because he did assault and batter someone. It's because he's a non-aggression principle violator, and it's because he hates black people. He's a racist. You shouldn't entertain that kind of crap on this show. It's insulting to the entire libertarian community.
So I shouldn't talk to somebody who was wrongfully imprisoned simply because he has racist views?
No, that wasn't why he was in prison. He was in prison because he assaulted and battered someone.
Well, that's your opinion based on the plea deal. I mean, certainly you can look at the plea deal and say, well, he pled guilty, so therefore he did it. But there are plenty of people who will take a plea deal in order to get the hell out of jail and get out of whatever potential charges, because Chris Campbell's a huge gun guy, right? Like, he's big into guns. Had he gone to jail for a felony, obviously he would no longer be able to bear arms,
right?
And so they had come at him with felony charges that they ultimately dropped in favor of these misdemeanor charges, where he ultimately got out on a suspended sentence and essentially time served with a few other restrictions. Ultimately, that tells me they couldn't prove their original case of the felony charges, and they gave him the opportunity to walk on this.
I don't know if it proves that they couldn't
if they could prove the case, why not go ahead with it?
Because
throw them to the wolves.
Ian, you're well aware of the way the legal process works,
yes,
to where
absolutely
they always offer people plea deals.
Sure, they don't want to have to put on a case.
That doesn't mean that they don't have evidence.
I didn't say they didn't have evidence.
That they offered a deal, and he said, that sounds good, I'll take it.
He did. And
doesn't mean they can't prove a case.
Well, generally, it means something like that. It really does, in my opinion, because
no, it means that they want an easy conviction and they don't actually want to work for the conviction.
Well, if there was plenty of evidence.
Thank you, Darryl.
Okay, Lloyd. Any other comments you want to share?
Yeah, Lauren Rumpler, Naked 2020. Make Free Talk Live sexy again.
Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you.
Just like, let's go back to the Rich Paul case from several years ago.
Yep.
The day his trial began, they offered him a plea deal where they said no jail time.
That's right.
That doesn't mean that they couldn't prove their case. That just means they wanted to easily get a victory.
Well, that's true. And we'll never really know, right? Because the case was never put on. So we don't really get to know the quality of their evidence. But in a lot of cases, the government doesn't have good quality evidence. In a lot of cases, they've cut corners. In a lot of cases, they don't really have much of a case. And they bluster and they intimidate, and they get people to take plea deals because of that, which ultimately makes them look like, oh, well, he took a guilty plea, so therefore he must have done X. Well, maybe he didn't do X, but would rather not have taken it to a judge or a jury to find out whether or not he would have lost that case. So I don't think you can really draw any conclusions here, except if you've seen the video footage, because there was video footage.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say it's definitive either way. I mean, you could argue that he was defending himself.
You could also argue that, the racists were looking for a fight.
You could argue that.
Both sides were looking for a fight.
I think that's true.
And both sides are claiming self-defense.
Yep, and like I said,
you don't get to provoke a fight, and then when somebody punches you, yell self-defense and punch them back.
Sure, and if it's true that the witness in this case actually did leave the country, that's also some more indication that maybe this was a pretty shoddy case to begin with, brought by people with political motivations rather than actual victims. Because Chris did say that the purported victim who was pepper sprayed was not one of the complaining parties. So one of the details in the case was that somebody claimed they were pepper sprayed because they were downwind.
Right.
Because when Chris released the pepper spray against what Chris said was an assailant who was attacking people, that somebody else got a breath of it, basically, got some of it whipped into their face because of the wind, and those were the people who were accusing him. So the actual real victim, the intended, at least, whether it was defense or not,
right,
that person was not the complaining party. So I think that's another interesting detail as well. But we weren't there, and it definitely sounds like Chris hasn't learned his lesson. He was saying he wants to go back down there with 1,000 armed men in Virginia in 5 years after his time limit runs out. And something else I didn't ask him about because I didn't, it didn't seem relevant to talk about it, was sort of the internal issues that have been created within the white supremacists. So Vincent, who's a former, sometime co-host here on Free Talk Live, he hosts his own show called Questioning Authority on Saturday nights on LRN.FM. He kind of follows along with the alt-right news, basically, and keeps up to date with what's been going on. And it's interesting, Chris Cantwell has kind of done basically the same thing in the alt-right that he did in the libertarian movement, which is to say, come into it and cause division. So apparently they've been fighting within themselves, because at one point Chris came out with a public post saying he's been talking to the FBI. And Chris's purported reason...
Well, the headline was, "I've become an FBI informant."
Yeah. Well, he has been talking to the FBI.
And then, the actual article was, "The FBI asked me questions, I gave them answers."
Well, he wanted to talk to the FBI, and his rationale was, well, I'm trying to turn them against Antifa and blah, blah, blah. And, of course, ultimately that turned a lot of the people, and I think rightfully so, in his so-called movement against him for going and essentially, narking to the FBI in general, right, even if it wasn't necessarily against their group. So there's been some internal drama, of course, always surrounding Cantwell, even within his new group of despicable cohorts. The toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. But, if you find that offensive, I appreciate you calling in to share that with us. Chris is somebody who I've tried to maintain a positive relationship with over the years, because I'm a peace minister, and I would like to see him find peace someday. He's nowhere near it, though, at the moment. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us and take control of the airwaves.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
If you owe any money to the IRS, you need to call *1234. That's *1234. Uncle Sam has the power to make your life miserable. You could stop the IRS collections process right now by calling *1234. When you call the Tax Defense Center, you'll get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate your back taxes, including penalties and interest. *1234. *1234 could save you thousands on your back taxes. You could also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have entered into a payment plan and can't make the payments. It's your hard-earned money. Stop Uncle Sam right now. Make the call that could help you end the worry today. *1234. That's *1234. *1234. *1234.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in, toll free, take control of the airwaves, and bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
As we continue here, I do want to make sure that you know about our satellite funding Patreon. I actually had somebody sign up for that this week, and it's pretty rare because we actually don't talk about it that often. It is something that is important to me, that I think it's good to get the ideas of liberty out to people elsewhere in the world. I mean, it's great that Free Talk Live has over 100 and I think currently 190 or approximately 190 radio stations from coast to coast and beyond, because we do reach all the way to Guam and I guess Alaska as well. But it's nice to have our signal being available in sub-Saharan Africa,
yes,
in Mexico, in Central America, in Cuba, in places internationally. You know, as long as if you speak English, you can hear the ideas of liberty, and that's what the satellite signals that we have allow. They are international, what they call free-to-air satellite signals. It's audio only, of course. It would be way too expensive to do a video broadcast.
Yes.
And so we've had those up there for most of this decade. Our satellite signals started up in 2010, and then Sub-Saharan Africa came on in 2012. So it's been several years for both signals. We've had response from Africa. People we know are listening there. We literally heard from the Cameroon independence movement, where English speakers are trying to secede basically northwestern or western Cameroon from the rest of the country. And there's literally conflict in the streets between the police there and, you know, groups of English teachers and lawyers and, you know, all kinds of English-speaking people. So it's crazy stuff. And so the ideas of liberty and secession and peace and cryptocurrency are being heard, and also all the rest of the great shows at LRN.FM, because it's not just a satellite channel that carries exclusively Free Talk Live. We're only on a couple times a day, so like early morning and evenings when we're live, of course, which is, you know, reversed over there almost. And so if you support that mission of getting the ideas of freedom on in other places around the globe to be heard by people around the world, then you can support our satellite fundraiser over at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm. And or you can just go to lrn.fm. You'll find the Patreon link there in the top right of the website. It's $2 a month, so not a whole lot. You know, what's that, pennies per day or something, if you wanted to actually support it and get people around the world hearing freedom ideas. So patreon.lrn.fm. As we go to Tom, he's in Hudson, New Hampshire, and he's on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tom.
Yeah. In 2004, there was a bunch of bombings going off underneath the streets of Madrid, the subway bombings. And a couple of observations. First of all, you know, there are a number of cities that have a subway station, that have subway lines, and also embassies. I don't know of any embassies that are directly above a subway line, but you know how those lines on the map mean a lot to bureaucrats. Mm-hmm. And they draw a line on the map. The perimeter of the embassy property is the sovereign territory of the country that owns the embassy. So, you know, in theory, if a subway bomb were to have gone off underneath the embassy of another country, then, you know, that's directly under their embassy, so that's part of their territory. I don't know if there's any issues. I don't know of any embassies that are directly above subway lines, but you know, if the bomb goes off, then it's a crime under the laws of the country whose embassy it blew up under.
Okay.
But the other issue
So what's
is
the point?
it happened in Madrid. Well, the other point is the investigators first started checking, well, maybe it was the Basque separatists, the ETA. Maybe they did it. Well, let's call them up and ask them. Could you imagine being on either end of that phone call? Hey, it's about the subway bombings. You got any information about that? No, we didn't do that one. We don't know who they are. We didn't do that subway bombing, did we? No, we haven't done anything since that bin bomb on South Main Street 2 Fridays ago. Yeah, you got us down for that subway, the bin bomb on South Main Street 2 Fridays ago. That's the last thing we done. Okay, well, they said they didn't do it, so let's keep investigating. And it turns out Al-Qaeda terrorists did it. But just imagine
you're saying
being on
Al-Qaeda
either
terrorists, they claimed responsibility for it. That doesn't necessarily mean they did it, right? Or did somebody actually get caught and admit to it?
I think they. I'm not sure on that point, but I will say that
you can't believe when.
And
I'm still not sure what your point of all of this was. It just seems like you're rambling about the subway bombing.
Imagine
From
being
14
on
years
either end
ago.
of that phone call is what I was saying.
I really don't care about being on the end of that phone call. So thanks for the call tonight, Tom. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. I'm not involved in bombings and such or terrorist groups, so I would never be on the end of that particular phone call. Because as a peace activist, as a libertarian, as somebody who's against the use of coercion, the use of aggressive force, if somebody comes into our movement here, and we do have a movement, there's the New Hampshire Freedom Movement, which is attracting libertarians and voluntarists and peace-loving, anarchists from all around the globe. If somebody comes in here and starts agitating for violence, which is kind of one of the things that Chris Cantwell did when he originally moved here a long time ago and caused divisions, generally those people are treated very carefully. They are shoved out of kind company if they continue to agitate for violence and do not change their demeanor. And we just won't stand for it, because ultimately it doesn't matter to me whether that person is just an angry libertarian, and I think most of them probably are, because I understand being an angry libertarian. I get it. I was that person for a while, so I can empathize with them. Or they're an actual undercover federal agent trying to gin up some sort of bombings, trying to find a patsy, trying to find some kind of dupe who is willing to, glom on to whatever plot that they happen to be trying to cook up with somebody. As we've seen, the FBI has cooked up over 200 the last time we talked about these issues, where they'll find a terrorist who was planning on bombing a thing, and turns out the FBI actually gave them the van, gave them the ostensible bomb, gave them some money to put them up in a hotel, and encouraged them to do the bombing from the very word go.
Right.
So, I don't care which one it is, whether it's an FBI agent or some other undercover, agent or informant, or just some angry libertarian. They need to be stopped. They need to be talked to and say, hey, look, that's not the solution here. Violence isn't the answer. It's not going. Basically, and we've talked a lot about this in recent weeks on Free Talk Live, and it's one of those things that's going to come up over and over again, because as the state continues to harm people, as the state, these people who call themselves the state, continue to use aggressive violence against peaceful people, it's inevitable that those people are going to get angry. Right. And, you put my friend or brother or sister or mom or somebody in a prison cell, and all she or he did was possessed a plant, well, I can understand why somebody would be really upset about that. And I can understand why somebody would, become militaristic in their viewpoint of, well, the state's using violence against us, so therefore we should use violence back against them. I don't think that's unjustified, because you are justified in defending yourself. But ultimately, it's a poor approach, and one that will have negative consequences for the liberty movement.
And then there's
in
also, and this is something that gets glossed over a lot of times, proportionality. To where, if... And this is a discussion that has been had numerous times. If somebody breaks into your house and takes a single paper clip,
this is the Cantwell example,
are you justified in murdering that person?
I say absolutely not. So you have to, I would argue for proportionality, that the person should only be punished to the point in which they've threatened you, right? So if this person's holding you at gunpoint, then obviously it makes sense you can kill that person.
Right, and then there's also the question of if an 8-year-old girl steps off of the sidewalk and steps on your tulip, what's the correct response? And some people say, well, trespassed, she destroyed your property, kill her.
It's ridiculous.
And you're morally justified.
I mean, it's just hard to even imagine somebody thinking that that's okay.
Yeah.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733 if you want to jump in.
And what I would say to, if there was an 8-year-old girl that, let's just say I had some tulips and she stepped on them, the response would be, if she had a tulip, I could, in theory, step on it, but I wouldn't do it because I'm not a jerk.
Well, eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. It would seem
that's why I said I wouldn't do it. I'm not a jerk.
The neighborly response would be to ask the girl to not do that again, and if it continued to happen, talk to her parents about it.
Right, and then there's also the circumstance of why did it happen? Was it she was walking down the sidewalk, there was a mud puddle, and she didn't want to step in the mud puddle, so she stepped into your yard and just happened to step on?
Was it an accident, or does she hate tulips and hate you? It's probably more likely the former. More coming up here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. So we got a jury nullification story on the way, and then Papa John apparently has resigned. And
resigned? I thought he got kicked out.
The pizza guy, the pizza founder who founded Papa John's Pizza, will tell you more about what happened there. Hour number 2 on the way. You can take control of the airwaves. It's Free Talk Live.
You can't print invoices without ink. You can't print status reports, spreadsheets, or that report due in 12 minutes without ink. No, you can't print anything without ink. Luckily, Staples has a huge selection of ink and toner in stock and at great prices every day. This week only, buy 1 HP ink at Staples and get a second 30% off. So stock up now, because you can't afford to run out of ink.
And Saturday, 7/21/18. See store associate or staples.com for details. Restrictions may apply.
Tired of being censored by Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Patreon? Well, now you don't have to be. OneWay.com is the free speech and human-friendly social network built just for you. Stop feeding the beast. Every post you make on those evil, anti-human, anti-American perverted sites helps them destroy our families, our country, and our souls. Join One Way today and take back your liberty. Your free speech alternative is waiting for you at OneWay.com. OneWay.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.34 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,224 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $29, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,452. Antiwar.com reports just days after the successful summit between Presidents Trump and Putin, Russia has announced tests of a range of weapon systems. On Thursday, the Defense Ministry said tests are planned for laser systems, nuclear-capable cruise missiles, and an underwater drone. These are the same weapons Russia unveiled plans for back in March, their next generation of conventional and nuclear arms. Russian officials have branded them super weapons and have said they are designed to totally circumvent U.S. missile defenses to maintain a balance of power. Russia Russian officials say that the tests are practice on the use of the high-powered Peresvet laser and the Poseidon underwater drone, along with a switch to the flight trials at Sarmat missile complex. Russian officials have said the cruise missiles being developed are nuclear-capable missiles with unlimited range. They have said these missiles will be beyond the capacity of any U.S. systems to intercept, which is likely not difficult given the limited success U.S. missile defense actually has. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the New York Department of Taxation and Finance is investigating whether the Donald Trump Foundation violated state tax laws. Governor Andrew Cuomo confirmed Thursday the investigation began a month ago and seeks to determine whether the foundation and President Donald Trump broke New York law by transferring assets or misrepresenting tax liability and tax assignment. Once the tax department probe is complete, the findings could be referred to the appropriate law enforcement agency to present to a grand jury for criminal action. Cuomo said the investigation is moving forward in the form of a review by the state tax department as well as a civil case by the Attorney General's office. He said, for the Trump Foundation, the law is the law. It doesn't matter who you are, the law is the law. So Tax and Finance is doing an investigation. If they believe it should be referred, they will refer it. New York Attorney General Barbara Underwood filed a lawsuit against the Donald Trump Foundation in June, citing a pattern of illegal conduct by the organization for more than a decade, including unlawful political coordination with Trump's presidential campaign, repeated and willful self-dealing transactions to benefit personal and business interests, and violations of basic legal obligations for nonprofit foundations. Late Wednesday, Cuomo's counsel, Alfonso David, said he would make a referral to the Attorney General's office to criminally investigate the foundation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Panasonic said it was unable to determine how much of the cobalt used in batteries it makes for Tesla cars comes from Cuba, a country subject to U.S. sanctions, and that it had suspended relations with a Canadian supplier as a result of its concern. The Japanese electronics maker, the exclusive supplier of batteries to Tesla, made the comments following questions from Reuters about whether the batteries contained Cuban cobalt. Two sources familiar with the matter told Reuters that some of the cobalt that Panasonic uses to make Tesla's batteries is mined in Cuba by Canadian supplier Shire International. Panasonic said it was unable to tell how much cobalt sourced from Cuba via its Canadian supplier ended up in the batteries it provided to the U.S. market due to commingling of sources by its suppliers in several phases of manufacturing processes. A spokeswoman said Panasonic had chosen to suspend its relationship with an unnamed Canadian supplier. She added that Panasonic had used cobalt from the Canadian supplier for batteries used in the Tesla Model S and Model X, but only after February of this year. A U.S. Treasury official who asked not to be named said Treasury does not discuss investigations and could not confirm whether one existed. The United States imposed sanctions on Cuba after Fidel Castro nationalized swaths of American assets more than 50 years ago. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
On June 4th, 1919, a group of bold, passionate men took it upon themselves to pass the Women's Suffrage Act, finally granting women the right to vote that they were too frail and helpless to achieve on their own. Having long watched women struggle to stand up for their right to choose elected officials, the strong and capable men decided to intercede and aid their weak female counterparts. And on June 6, 1972, David Bowie's release of his concept album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, kick-started the glam rock genre and led to such spin-off trends as glam medicine, glam sports, and glamcatecture, all culminating in the 1976 presidential glam election. And that was what happened this week in history. In the words of French King John II, history will forever remember the great names of Alexander and Napoleon and Washington. But what about me,
John II of France. I did stuff too.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program. As always, you can join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Coming up here tonight, the jury nullification story. We're going to jump into that here shortly. Plus, the chairman of the Fed calls Bitcoin not a real currency. We'll tell you more about that. It's been a while since we've done a Bitcoin story here on Free Talk Live. Also, Papa John has resigned from Papa John's. Who saw that one coming? Well, and it's not over a good thing either. We'll tell you about it.
Oh, didn't that happen like a week ago?
It's
though?
pretty fresh, yeah. About this story is from actually 1 week ago that I have.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones though first here to start things out in hour number 2, where you can take control of the airwaves. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio tonight. We got Luke on the line in Bakersville, California, watching us on our Twitch feed, which is one of the ways you can watch the show. In fact, it's the only way you can watch us in HD quality over at twitch.lrn.fm. Be sure you follow us there. Go ahead, Luke. You're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, hi, Ian. How you going?
Hey, good. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, I'm just want to talk about how you've got on Talker's top 27 talk show hosts in America.
We've actually been on the Talkers Heavy 100, as they call it, which is their, opinion of who are I think it's the 100 most influential talk shows in America. It doesn't have necessarily to do exactly with, which markets you're in or anything. It's just sort of their arbitrary pick of, we think these people are relevant. And it's an honor to have been included on that list for the last decade. We've been moving up it very
That's the
steadily.
100 most important radio talk show host in America.
Most important. Okay, I thought it was most influential. But yeah, most important. So there you go, Luke. Thank you for the thoughts.
Will you be speaking?
Yep.
Will you be speaking at the event like Alex Jones did?
So Alex Jones actually keynoted the Talkers event a few years ago, maybe several years ago at this point. He was the keynote speaker. I have spoken at the event. I've had speaking opportunities there that I've taken, and also I've been on panels. So I've introduced speakers. I've been on panels, and I was on the Talk Rumble one year, which was a lot of fun. But I have not ever keynoted, nor do I really want to. I don't enjoy the attention. I don't look. I don't look for it. It wouldn't disappoint me if I'm never asked to, to keynote Talkers. But ultimately, if Michael Harrison, the publisher of Talkers, asks me to speak, I'm going to accept his invitation, and I always have.
Okay, because on May the 13th, 2016, you said on Free Talk Live that sex with 15-year-old boys is legal. And
I don't think I ever said that.
You asked people to move to Keene.
Don't think I ever said that, because where would that be legal?
Well, you guys said it was legal on air.
No,
and
I don't know where that would be the case. I mean, in some states, 16 is the legal age. In other states, there's actually a separate age for homosexual sex consent. I don't know if that's the case in New Hampshire. Were you referring to homosexual sex with a 15-year-old boy or a heterosexual?
I called up to complain about Terry Bean.
Who the hell's that?
Having sex with 14-year-old boys, and Ian Freeman said it was legal for 15 and under. And
no, that didn't happen on this
Playpen.
show in this universe, dude. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I'm talking about May 13th, 2016.
Okay, well, you can keep repeating. You can keep repeating the allegation, but that doesn't make it any more true. Would I say that it should be legal to have sex with a consenting teenage person? Yeah, I would say that should be legal because I think people can consent.
I'm
when
also
they're ready
curious
to.
what that has to do with the Talkers Heavy 100. It just seems like you went from talking about the Talkers thing to something else.
Saying sex with children is legal.
Huh? Say that again. You cut out.
To where you are today by saying sex with children is legal. How the hell did it happen?
You are obviously not listening to what we've said. Nobody said sex with children was legal, and nobody said necessarily that it should be legal. So I'm not really sure why you continue to allege. You obviously misheard whatever the conversation was, and I'm correcting you on it now. Now, you can either accept that correction, or you can continue to act like an ignorant person.
Playpen, FBI Playpen raid on your office. You're a pedophile, mate, Ian.
Well, no, there's no evidence for that, and the FBI raid actually didn't uncover any evidence at all. No one has been charged, and nobody was ever accused of anything like that. So you can say whatever you want. That doesn't make it true. Thanks for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. There seems to be a large amount of confusion on this issue. And I understand people get very, very upset. They get very angry when it comes to the issue of young people and sex. And I think that has to do with some people having had really negative experiences when it comes to sex when they were young. Maybe they felt like they were taken advantage of by an older person, perhaps. Maybe they were indoctrinated to believe that sex is some sort of evil thing when not done in the exact right methods and with the exact right circumstances, that sex is bad or it's the devil's thing or you should not have sex outside of marriage. People have all kinds of stories that they tell themselves about sexual encounters, especially when it comes to young people. And they seem to confuse somebody who advocates for what I consider to be a libertarian viewpoint, that an individual should be able to make decisions for their own body when they feel like they are ready to make those decisions. Now, that doesn't mean that those individuals will always make the right decisions for themselves.
Right, and there are some people that they want to...
But that doesn't make me a pedophile, which is somebody who is sexually attracted to children, and I'm not.
That there are some people that they want to conflate legal child and medical child.
Right. What's the difference?
So a legal child is someone under whatever the arbitrary age, could be 18, could be 21, could be 26, depending on which definition we're going with at any given time. Whereas a medical child is someone who is prepubescent.
Correct. They have not reached
not
any
everyone
puberty.
hits puberty at the same age.
Correct. And not everybody matures mentally at the same age either.
Right.
So just because somebody has hit puberty doesn't mean they're necessarily ready to have sex mentally.
Correct.
So there's a lot of questions involved
And just
here.
because someone has hit puberty doesn't mean that every encounter they have is going to be consensual.
Yeah, that's absolutely true as well. Let's go to Otto. He's calling from Indianapolis, also listening on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Otto.
Yeah, how you doing today?
Go ahead, you're on the air.
So, I just wanted to say, niggers.
You can't say that on the radio. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. So, yeah, not a very good argument, not very, solid in that particular case. We had to dump his call because you can't say that on broadcast radio, even though we're on. And you know what? You can't even say it on Twitch. So that person is trying to, I presume, get us banned from the Twitch platform or just be a jerk, one or the other.
Probably the latter.
Maybe both.
Could be both.
But
Twitch is one of those places that trolls.
There are a lot of trolls on Twitch, and sometimes we get some really good calls though from Twitch. So
occasionally, yes.
It's been a mixed bag, and
definitely.
All that said, I'm glad that we're there, and these are open phones. If you want to call in with completely unfounded allegations about the hosts, you are certainly welcome to do so. I've been accused.
I prefer you not.
I'd rather we have actual conversations rather than somebody repeating the same false allegations over and over again, even when corrected on that. So 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number here. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM and the Discord on-air call-in line room at discord.lrn.fm. But this is an issue that has divided libertarians because, it really seems to come down to there's a certain group of parents who believe they own their children, that they believe libertarians believe in property rights, and therefore I take care of these kids. They are my property. I created them, so therefore they're my property until the government's arbitrary legal age has passed, in which case then I do not believe they are my property anymore because I don't believe in the government except on this one issue where I think they can determine when my children aren't my property anymore. That seems to be one perspective of the sort of owner parent. And then there's another perspective of the kind of peaceful parent where it's we'll let our kids do whatever it is they want to do as long as they accept responsibility for their actions.
They're autonomous beings.
Yeah.
I will help direct them to make the right decision.
Right. So the toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. And so both of these groups are libertarians, but they don't agree on these issues.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. So far in 2018, the Innocence Network has welcomed 32 wrongfully convicted people home from prison for crimes they did not commit and had a record-breaking 850 people unite in Memphis at their annual conference. The movement of freeing the innocent and reforming the criminal justice system is growing and would not be possible without your support. Together as 68 network organizations around the world, they've helped exonerate 513 people who spent a combined total of 7,804 years in prison. They've also worked together to pass over 150 laws in the U.S. to help prevent wrongful convictions. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course, you can dial in toll-free to take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything you want, even complete nonsense, complete fabrications, or total confusion. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And don't forget about the Blink Home security system and the 15% off discount you'll get for being a Free Talk Live listener. when you go to blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. That's blinkprotect.com/FTL. And the Blink security system is a wireless system, meaning that you open the box, you put the batteries in the cameras, and then just put them up wherever you want. If you need to move them around, get a better angle, not a problem. You don't have to run a bunch of cable, pull any cables through the walls, or anything like that. It's super easy. It's all done wirelessly via your Wi-Fi-enabled device of choice, like a tablet or a smartphone. Just go to blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live, and you can get your Blink home security system there. And again, get 15% off at blinkprotect.com/FTL. As we continue here, the guy who called in earlier, Luke, who had made some accusations that I knew weren't true, but he continued to make the accusations in the face of clear denials here coming from the studio, claiming that I said something like that sex with a 15-year-old boy was legal, or 15-year-old teenager was legal, and citing the date on which he claimed that I did this. He's now in our Discord chat over at discord.lrn.fm, which you can go and chat with trolls and other people if you would like. He's in there, and thankfully he actually put a link to a video that is appears to be on his channel. So he cut out a segment of Free Talk Live from whenever it was. I think he said May something or other. And it doesn't actually have that in the video title or whatever, but at some point in the past, he cut this clip out. It's us talking with Rich Paul, and it's actually, turns out it's Rich Paul who makes the statement. So I'll play this back. So here's a news flash for you. We're not all the same person behind a microphone, and if you knew who I was, then you would know I'm the person on the left side of the video, not the person on the right side of the video. So there are different hosts in this program, on this program, and each individual has their own opinions. Sometimes they're misinformed. I don't know if Rich Paul is correct about this. I don't know about South Carolina's age of consent law, but I suspect that he is not correct and that it is not legal to have sex with a 15-year-old teenager in South Carolina.
As long as the other party is not more than 2 years different.
So meaning that a 16-year-old could legally do such an act.
Yes.
But an 18-year-old would not be able to legally do that.
There's actually, hold on. I'm pulling up the South Carolina
While you do that, let me play the clip here.
And it says the legal age is 16. However, individuals as young as 14 are able to consent with a partner who is 18.
Oh, okay.
So there's up to a 4-year gap, but no more than so somewhere between a 2 to 4 year gap around the age of 16.
So we're going to continue here. I'll just play the audio just for the sake so we can correct this claim. It's nice that he actually provided the link, and I do appreciate
Obama
that.
has friends.
And by the way, it's him who called on this very same night. It's a Luke, and sounds like he's British.
Friends who fly on Air Force One who have been charged with having sex with a 15-year-old boy, and the 15-year-old boy's statement of his underage gay sex with Basic Rights Oregon's queer hero, Terry Bean.
You do know that's not pedophilia, right?
On the newspaper website.
You do know that's not pedophilia, right?
As a matter of fact, it would be legal in South Carolina.
Or pedophilia.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It's pederasty under the Wikipedia definition, pederasty.
What is the definition of that? I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it's having sex with young adolescents, okay?
I don't know if a teenager is an adolescent.
I was post-adolescent at 15 myself.
So there you go. Just a quick recap there. And so, was Rich Paul correct? Well, under certain circumstances, apparently he was correct.
Right.
Is that pederasty? Well, no, that's a whole other question. And, teenagers, as you defined earlier, are usually beyond the age of puberty. And so therefore, it's not
one
sex
of
with
the
children.
things, getting into the age of consent discussion, which it's one of those topics that, sometimes libertarians get drawn into. One of the things is, let's say that one person is 18 years, 6 months of age.
Mm-hmm.
And their significant other is 17 years, 9 months of age. Well, depending on the jurisdiction, one of them could be committing a crime if the two of them engage in consensual sexual activity.
Certainly.
And I think most people would realize that that's absolutely absurd.
I would hope so. Because if you couldn't realize that, then that would be such blind devotion to whatever the state's arbitrary laws about consent are, and it would be proof of your blind devotion to it, as opposed to any kind of devotion to understanding humans and that everybody's an individual and people can obviously make decisions if they're under the age of 18. The idea that somebody crossing some arbitrary legal threshold all of a sudden makes them able to make their own decisions for themselves is just clearly ridiculous on its face.
Right.
Now, of course, the way that the people who will argue against that will argue against is be like, well, do you think a 3-year-old should be able to blah, blah, blah? Well, no. Obviously, that person, a young person like that, cannot make informed decisions. They can't even retain information, in the same way that mature people could do. But ultimately, it should be up to the market to decide these things, not a group of politicians arbitrarily deciding, well, in this state it's 18, in this state it's 16. If you're a gay person, then it's 18, and if you're not gay, then it's 16. Oh, and don't take a picture of it, even if you are 16, because then it's child pornography. Story from Reason's Hit and Run blog. A 27-year-old Cleveland man faces between 15 and 30 years in prison for allegedly producing child pornography.
From like a decade ago.
Yeah, although no children were harmed by his actions, the man merely took consensual, sexually suggestive pictures of his then 17-year-old girlfriend when he was 20.
With whom he was legally allowed to have sex.
Correct. The age of consent in Ohio is 16, so it was legal for Edward Marrero to have sex with his girlfriend. However, it was a crime to photograph her in the nude, because the federal definition of child pornography covers images of anyone under the age of 18. Now, of course, the ostensible reason to have laws against child pornography is because, well, if children are actually being coerced into sex in front of a camera, it's bad enough they're being coerced into sex at all, but it's even worse because it's in front of a camera and, that makes it so they are the target of perverts or whatever.
Right.
On the internet. That's not the case with a teenage person and their mostly close to teenage boyfriend or whatever.
Right.
And taking off their clothes consensually for one another. To even liken the two acts to be similar to one another is insulting.
The most absurd that I've heard was the 16-year-old from Virginia who was charged with possession of child pornography because there was a photo of himself on his cell phone that he took himself.
So he's abusing himself is what they want you to
believe.
He
was charged as an adult for possession of child pornography for having a picture of himself on his own cell phone that he took himself.
And, I mean, I don't get into people's cell phones, but from what I understand, this is not an uncommon thing for young people to do called sexting, wherein they will take pictures of themselves, and I'm pretty sure we don't want all of those people to be considered, child pornographers and labeled as such for their entire lives. Or maybe you do. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom if you want to join us on the radio.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
So you can bring up anything you want. We've had some troll calls coming in from Twitchland tonight. If you want to watch us on Twitch, though, our cam feed is there, and it is in HD, so it's the best way to actually watch the show, if that's what you're into, over at twitch.lrn.fm. As we continue here, we've got some good news on the way about a Georgia jury finding a man not guilty. A little bit of jury nullification that we can get into here. But we kind of got sidetracked by these callers into discussing age of consent. And right now, the idea of child pornography, when somebody takes a photograph consensually of their teenage boyfriend or girlfriend.
Or themselves.
And being charged with that. Now one man is facing up to 30 years in prison. He's 27. He was 20 at the time when he took some sexually suggestive photos of his then 17-year-old girlfriend, when the age of consent is 16 in Ohio, but it's not 16 for photographing your loved one. We'll tell you more about that situation. And also, I want to make sure that you know about Bitcoin.com. It's a great site to go and learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and get the latest news headlines. But Bitcoin.com also wants you to know that you can now order things at SaveItPurse.com, where you can save 20, 30%, whatever percentage you want, up to 33% off, you can shoot for. Usually 20 is going to get your item sold within the first day. You can get those discounts now using Bitcoin Cash. SaveItPurse.com used to be exclusive BTC Bitcoin. It is now both BTC and Bitcoin Cash, or BCH. You can decide which Bitcoin you want to use to deposit into your account there, and that allows you to get huge discounts on your purchases at Amazon, as we've been doing here for years, behind the scenes at Free Talk Live. Pretty much everything I need from Amazon, I want 20% off. Right. So the most recent example, just yesterday, I had gotten, we're almost out of toner here in the printer in the studio. I put the toner up at 33% off for like a couple days. It wasn't getting a bite, and now we're at like critically low levels of black toner. So it's all right. I better reduce the discount. Reduced it to 20%. Snatched up within a day.
Nice.
And it's presumably already en route. So
good.
Maybe it'll be one of those Sunday deliveries, because a lot of times the people at SaveItPurse.com, they want that Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash.
Yep.
They want it so bad that they're willing to pay extra just for a Sunday delivery. So you should go check it out for yourself. If you want to save big time at Amazon, this is the way to do it. And it gives you an incentive to get into cryptocurrency, because you can only do this with crypto. Specifically,
right.
Bitcoin Cash is now accepted at SaveItPurse.com.
And when they wound up doing that, they took away the Shapeshift integration.
Yes, I heard about that, yeah.
Where you used to be able to... There were a couple dozen currencies that
Right.
Shapeshift allows you to convert from one crypto to something else.
Without an account.
Right. And you used to be able to convert other currencies to Bitcoin, and they've taken that away, but they have added the Bitcoin Cash, BCH.
Yeah, I don't blame them for that. I think, adding a conversion step in front of the process of doing Save It Purse just adds an unnecessary complication. So I think they probably made the right choice. There's probably more customer issues that came out of that rather than whatever it was worth.
Probably, especially because sometimes those conversions will take a while, and the QR code might refresh in the time that it takes to convert.
Too many question marks.
Yeah.
So let's go to your calls, your thoughts. You can bring up what you want here. Matthew's in Louisiana, listening via the TuneIn app. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, turns out Donald Trump's doing more colluding with the Russians. He's invited Putin to come to Washington, D.C.
Oh, really?
Because the Hawks really pissed off.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Russia is less of a fight to me than my own government as far as that goes, especially when you see the levels of corruption being exposed at the FBI. I'm like, yeah, I'm not so scared of Russia. They can only nuke me, and that's only if you really piss them off.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. It's
now-
not going to be Russian-speaking troops who are banging in your door at 4 o'clock in the morning when they're serving a warrant on the wrong house for a drug raid or something like that. It's going to be American troops. It's going to be American black-clad cops, SWAT team, thugs busting in your door and possibly shooting your dog to death. It's not going to be Russians that are doing that. I think you make a good point.
I've got a question here.
With a grenade.
Right,
Hold on.
that too.
I've got a question here. You said that Putin's visit to D.C. proves that Trump was colluding with the Russians.
He was joking, I think.
Was it also collusion with Obama when Putin met with Obama in New York City in September 2015? Was it collusion with Donald Trump or with George Bush when they met in both 2003 and 2001?
That's different, Darryl, but haven't you been paying attention?
I don't think the caller was actually... The caller was being facetious about that, but there are people who believe that.
Right, but there are people that do believe that. They're like, it's unprecedented that Donald Trump met with Vladimir Putin.
No, it's
Here's
not.
pictures of him with Obama, with Bush, with Bill Clinton.
Well, Trump can't do anything right by some people's opinions, and it's that typical blind mentality. Go ahead.
There's another thing that another group he's been colluding with, and I didn't mention any of this on my usual right-wing shows because I wanted to see if they'd pick up on it. But according to Breitbart, he's been colluding with the Taliban for a peace treaty.
Trump?
Shh, quiet.
Wait.
This is our secret. Don't spread it around.
The Taliban's still a thing? I mean,
yes, the Taliban is still a thing in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Go to antiwar.com sometime and you can read about how that's still a thing.
Are they still like killing people or being
They're
awful?
still killing people and being awful. Sometimes they're fighting against ISIS and other times they're fighting against the Afghan government, and sometimes the U.S. military fights against all of them while saying, oh, we were fighting with the Afghan government, we just accidentally bombed the wrong place. But yes, the Taliban is very much a thing, and there have been talks of ceasefires. I've not heard of actual peace talks.
5 days ago, according to the New York Times, Kabul, Afghanistan, the Trump administration has told its top diplomats to seek direct talks with the Taliban, a significant shift in American policy in Afghanistan done in hope of jump-starting negotiations to end the 17-year war. The Taliban have long said they will first discuss peace only with the Americans, who toppled their regime in Afghanistan in 2001, but the United States has mostly insisted the Afghan government must take part. The recent strategy shift, which was confirmed by several senior American and Afghan officials, is intended to bring those two positions closer and lead to broader formal negotiations to end the long war. Now, that's interesting because, the war on terror was this sort of nondescript. Because old wars of the olden days, there were people with uniforms on that were holding flags, and they had stakes in being part of the state of whatever, the nation of whatever. With this sort of war on terror, it became this nebulous, impossible to really pin down war against these people that you never really could identify.
Non-nation state actors.
Yeah, and so the idea that Trump is even talking about ending this is mind-boggling to me. I think that's if that is indeed what comes out of this, it's great news if that actually comes out of this. Your thoughts, Matthew?
Well, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But here, Ian, there is one last thing I need to say.
Sure.
You've got to get a hold of the people at Wikipedia and correct the entry they have for Free Talk Live, because that's where a lot of this BS is coming from.
Oh, I don't really worry about things like that. I think one of the rules on Wikipedia is you're not supposed to correct your own page or whatever. People are supposed to just kind of do that on their own. So, I don't really care. People can say whatever it is they want to. I believe in freedom of speech, and I'm not so worried about, whatever. What do they call it? Libel or it doesn't bother me.
Right.
People can say whatever they want. I'm not going to spend my time chasing those people down. Hey, thanks for the call, Matthew.
You're a better man than I, Dungadin. Ciao.
I appreciate it. Thank you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Haters going to hate, and they're going to tell lies, and that's just how it is. It's just part and parcel of what happens when you kind of put yourself out there, and you have opinions, and you're not afraid to share them. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. More about this Afghan story, because it's interesting. Coming up, it's Free Talk Live.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
This is Jessica Armand, founder of My Magic Mud. Our team helped organize a successful effort to remove fluoride from our city's water supply. This is our passion. My Magic Mud Oral Care purifies and brightens your smile naturally. GCN listeners, please support my family business by purchasing our products from your local health food store. We're also available at CVS Pharmacy, or visit us at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off now with coupon code GCN10.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dylan Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dylan bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dylan bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dylan bottle today at byln.co. That's byln.co.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free, take control of the airwaves. Our number here, 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Is Trump going to actually broker peace with the Taliban? That's the headline that our caller a few moments ago brought up. I hadn't heard about it, but it's interesting, and we're going to look a little bit further into that, plus some good news about jury nullification coming up here tonight. Ian and Darryl in the studio, and also don't forget you can join us online over at freetalklive.com, where we've got a forum. You can get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners, and you're actually on the forum, Darryl. You don't go in the Discord chat. But
correct.
You do use the forum. It is a larger forum. It's the Shire forums, Shire Society forums, and they are the host to the Free Talk Live forum. So Free Talk Live is a sub-forum in there where you can talk about Free Talk Live with other Free Talk Live listeners. And it's a forum setup, so there's topics, and you can reply whenever you want, whereas the Discord chat is a sort of ongoing live chat, totally different. If you like forums, then you'll love this one because the software is really slick, it's easy to use, it's very modern, very snappy, and it's free, of course. So go to forum.freetalklive.com where you can interact with other Free Talk Live hosts and listeners there. Once again, that's forum.freetalklive.com. We go to the phones here to Skype, where Dave is on the line in Montana. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Dave? Do we have Dave in Montana? He's connected. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's some sort of issue with our sound.
Hello?
There he is.
Hello.
There he is. We have you now. We have you now. Go ahead, Dave.
1, 2.
We got you. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, I just downloaded the new Skype. I didn't know where all the buttons are. Everything's switched around on me. And usually you take a while to answer, so I thought I had plenty of time.
Well, you ought to get on. Did you ever get into the Discord chat? Because I bet our Discord.
I tried to do that, and every time I put my, I registered and everything. Yeah. So every time I go back there, it says I got to tell who I am. So I put in my name and my email, and it says this email has been used already. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's me.
Well, we might be able to help you off the air with some technical solutions there, but Discord's the only thing that sounds better than Skype is Discord. Anyway, you sound great. Go ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
I'm calling in about the spying.
Spying.
Like all of a sudden, spying is something new. Like it never happened.
You're talking about Russian spies? Which spies are you talking about?
Yeah. What do you mean? What are you talking about? That's all they're talking about on the news.
I don't watch the news.
We were spied on.
Yeah.
It's like something new. This has been going on I used to watch cartoons about the Russian spies with Boris and Natasha.
Looking for moose and squirrels.
spies been going on ever since I think Cain and Abel had spies or something, because somebody had to tell the story, right?
Yeah, and how many of us grew up when we were kids? I mean, Darryl, you and I probably grown up in the 80s and the 90s at some point. Had spy gear, right? Like some kind of like little kids spy
Secret
toys.
Agent, man.
Yeah.
I got me a 007 Secret Agent little anti-shade case and everything.
Sure, I mean, 007 got all the girls. Like, who didn't want to be an international spy, right?
All of a sudden, it's like something brand. Like all of a sudden, the FBI and the CIA didn't know that the Russians just might be trying to spy on our elections. We pay these guys trillions of dollars.
Well, their claim is that not only were they spying, but they were manipulating or meddling or whatever in the elections.
Meddling is spying. See that they don't want to say the word spy.
Yeah,
so
that's
they
more like
meddling.
sabotage. I mean, I guess you could say some spies are saboteurs.
Well, a spy is going to do the sabotaging. That's a spy. That's what the spy does.
Well, sometimes spies just collect information.
True.
He gets information. He just puts out disinformation.
It's certainly true that if you are a spy in a position in which you can sabotage without being detected, then that would be probably part of your orders to do that, presumably. But sabotage could get you detected.
People generally, when they hear the word spy, they think someone who secretly collects information without being detected. They don't think
that's
someone who is interfering in the day-to-day operations of something.
A spy can be a saboteur, but not necessarily.
And we got some of the best spies in the works, man. We've been all over the world spying.
I have never been all over the world spying. I am not a spy, and I don't do that sort of thing. But you mean the government?
That's exactly the thing a spy would say.
The USA, all right? The USA.
Okay, the government.
USA has their spies, and we've been interfering in Central America for like 120 years, Yeah. But anyway, this is another thing. They indict these 12 guys, right? Okay, we got the 12. We caught them. We got indictments. Okay, let's go talk to the guys or ask them questions. That will be the greatest show on earth. That some American guys are going to go to Russia and question Russian guys in Russia. That would be the greatest show. The TV ratings will go off the charts, man. The whole world will be watching. And then you figure maybe he indicted the guys because he figures we ain't never going to be able to ask them 12 Russians nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're getting it laid in their lap. Here, you could ask the 12 whatever you want. We don't want
who are the 12?
Ask
I'm sorry, I missed that detail. Who are the 12 Russians?
You don't know about it yet?
No, man. I don't look at most of the news. I don't know what's going on in the world
The
half the damn time.
FBI busted 12 Russian hackers that hacked into the DNC that tried to mess with the election. They're over in Russia.
12 Russian agents indicted in Mueller investigation, according to the New York Times.
And Putin says, hey, you could come over here and question these guys. And everybody's freaking out.
You're saying these Russian hackers are in Russia right now? So they're not based in the U.S.?
They're in the military even. They said these are military hackers.
And Putin, you're saying Putin's claiming that the U.S. can have access to these men somehow?
Yeah.
How about that? Well, look, I don't really care if somebody hacked the Democratic National Committee or whatever. I think that was great news. I was glad to hear that the treasure trove of emails was released. Whoever it was that was behind it.
My assumption on all of this is, if the FBI is and the CIA are so bad and so weak that our elections are open up for spying on, which I don't buy. Which I can't understand that.
Well, this doesn't have to do with the FBI and the CIA. This has to do with the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton presidential campaign. That's what they're alleging here. These 12 Russian intelligence officers were hacking. So that would mean that the FBI... Look, the FBI isn't in charge of protecting political campaigns. The political campaign, if they need to secure their server, they need to hire a professional IT guy who knows what he's doing and secure the server.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the CIA.
That's what I'm trying to get to, is that the FBI wasn't supposed to be guarding the DNC.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
They protect the election, and the election was protected. None of the votes got moved around by no Russian.
Yeah, no one has ever alleged that the Russians actually manipulated election results. They're only saying that, well, they interfered.
Well, they're trying
somehow
to insinuate that,
Right,
and
and-
a lot of people think that.
That's true.
And as I
That's
pointed
true.
out last night, I'm fairly certain I recall just like a day or two before the Scotland independence vote, Barack Obama told the Scottish voters, don't vote for independence.
For the Brexit? Or no, for Scottish independence.
For Scottish independence.
Okay. And they
Is
didn't,
that
right?
not U.S. meddling in a foreign election?
Great point.
A couple of years ago, there was a Canadian Parliament election. I endorsed a couple of libertarians running for
meddler.
Parliament. Am I to be convicted of meddling in Canadian elections?
That's ridiculous. Dave, great call tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks
what
for
exactly
bringing that.
does it mean to meddle in a foreign election? If we discuss
It's whatever the media says.
a foreign election,
Right. It's whatever the media says.
Well,
'cause
the
there's
media,
no-
that's right. That's right. The media here is trying to be court jury.
Well, aren't
they're
we also the media?
actually comparing it to 9/11, Pearl Harbor, and the Jews getting burned and everything. They're
That's so
freaking out. They're
ridiculous.
foaming out the mouth.
Yeah.
They're actually showing
They're just
how
mad that Hillary got
corrupt
caught.
they
You know,
are.
she got busted. And if it was Russians that busted her, kudos to them. Thanks for the call tonight, Dave. I appreciate you bringing that forward. Like I said, I don't follow all the international intrigue. I mean, sometimes I see the stories, but that's why we rely on you guys to call in and share stuff. And I'm grateful for listeners that, hey, if something's important out there in the world and you think our listeners need to know about it, don't rely on us to talk about it.
Right.
You've got a phone, you've got a Skype, you've got a Discord chat. You can call in and you can bring up anything you want here on Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Is the Afghan war going to end? Is President Donald Trump going to actually meet with the Taliban for peace talks?
not if the Afghan government has a say.
It's Free Talk Live. Hour 3's coming up.
If you or anyone you love has been diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, your diagnosis may be the result of job-related exposure to asbestos, and you may be entitled to compensation. Over $30 billion in trusts have been set aside for individuals who have been affected by asbestos exposure. How do you protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve? Call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. Capital Legal Group is one of the nation's resources for settlement of lung cancer and mesothelioma cases. Law firms have successfully recovered over $2.7 billion for their clients in all 50 states, and claims have been paid in as little as 60 days. If you or a family member were diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. We'll open a no-cost case review on your behalf. A history of tobacco use or cigarette smoking will not disqualify your case. Visit 800-400-LUNG.com or call 800-400-LUNG. Call 800-400-5864 now. That's 800-400-LUNG.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, July 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.34 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,224 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $29, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,452. Antiwar.com reports just days after the successful summit between Presidents Trump and Putin, Russia has announced tests of a range of weapon systems. On Thursday, the Defense Ministry said tests are planned for laser systems, nuclear-capable cruise missiles, and an underwater drone. These are the same weapons Russia unveiled plans for back in March, their next generation of conventional and nuclear arms. Russian officials have branded them super weapons and have said they are designed to totally circumvent U.S. missile defenses to maintain a balance of power. Russian officials say that the tests are practice on the use of the high-powered Peresvet laser and the Poseidon underwater drone, along with a switch to the flight trials at Sarmat missile complex. Russian officials have said the cruise missiles being developed are nuclear-capable missiles with unlimited range. They have said these missiles will be beyond the capacity of any U.S. systems to intercept, which is likely not difficult given the limited success U.S. missile defense actually has. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the New York Department of Taxation and Finance is investigating whether the Donald Trump Foundation violated state tax laws. Governor Andrew Cuomo confirmed Thursday the investigation began a month ago and seeks to determine whether the foundation and President Donald Trump broke New York law by transferring assets or misrepresenting tax liability and tax assignment. Once the tax department probe is complete, the findings could be referred to the appropriate law enforcement agency to present to a grand jury for criminal action. Cuomo said the investigation is moving forward in the form of a review by the state tax department as well as a civil case by the Attorney General's office. He said for the Trump Foundation, the law is the law. It doesn't matter who you are, the law is the law. So Tax and Finance is doing an investigation. If they believe it should be referred, they will refer it. New York Attorney General Barbara Underwood filed a lawsuit against the Donald Trump Foundation in June, citing a pattern of illegal conduct by the organization for more than a decade, including unlawful political coordination with Trump's presidential campaign, repeated and willful self-dealing transactions to benefit personal and business interests, and violations of basic legal obligations for nonprofit foundations. Late Wednesday, Cuomo's counsel, Alfonso David, said he would make a referral to the Attorney General's office to criminally investigate the foundation. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Panasonic said it was unable to determine how much of the cobalt used in batteries it makes for Tesla cars comes from Cuba, a country subject to U.S. sanctions, and that it had suspended relations with a Canadian supplier as a result of its concern. The Japanese electronics maker, the exclusive supplier of batteries to Tesla, made the comments following questions from Reuters about whether the batteries contained Cuban cobalt. Two sources familiar with the matter told Reuters that some of the cobalt that Panasonic uses to make Tesla's batteries is mined in Cuba by Canadian supplier Shire International. Panasonic said it was unable to tell how much cobalt sourced from Cuba via its Canadian supplier ended up in the batteries it provided to the U.S. market due to commingling of sources by its suppliers in several phases of manufacturing processes. A spokeswoman said Panasonic had chosen to suspend its relationship with an unnamed Canadian supplier. She added that Panasonic had used cobalt from the Canadian supplier for batteries used in the Tesla Model S and Model X, but only after February of this year. A U.S. Treasury official who asked not to be named said Treasury does not discuss investigations and could not confirm whether one existed. The United States imposed sanctions on Cuba after Fidel Castro nationalized swaths of American assets more than 50 years ago. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Americans across the nation made their voices heard this week as they demanded more mind-blowing guitar solos. Calling for the solos to be, quote, face-meltingly cool and go on for well over 10 minutes, Americans stressed that all guitar solos from now on should be equally as kick-ass as those in Van Halen's Hot for Teacher and AC/DC's Thunderstruck, or even better.
It should start out really slow, and then get faster and faster until they're all the way up at the top of the guitar neck and bending the notes like crazy. So it's like, and then there's all this awesome pyrotechnic stuff going off in the background. They should all be like that.
And in this week's local news, a report noted that on its surface, Glenbrook, Ohio is a small town like any other, a peaceful, all-American town. And yet, the report's authors added, if you only look closer, what you find may surprise you. In other news, a man is just having one of those decades where he doesn't feel like doing anything.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. As always, you can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And we've got Skype. You can Skype in here. Skype username's LRN.FM. There's also our Discord on-air call-in line room, which is the top chat room in our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm. You hop in that room, we'll join you when we notice you're there, and once we screen your call to make sure your mic's working, because a lot of times people accidentally have it muted, then we will put you on the air, and you can talk about anything you want to discuss. Coming up here tonight, we still have the story about the jury finding a man not guilty after he was growing marijuana in Georgia, not the friendliest place to marijuana growers. So we'll tell you about that. Ian and Darryl in the studio tonight. But let's go to the phones first, and actually to that Discord on-air call-in line room where Otis is on the line in New York. Otis, you're with us. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing tonight?
What's on your mind, dude?
So listen, I just got to get this off my mind before I start with my real question is, what's with the shirt? I mean, you're not wearing a shirt.
It's hot. It's hot here in New Hampshire.
It's not that hot.
It is.
I mean, the other guy's wearing a shirt, so I mean, I think you could probably nut up and probably get a shirt on, and you'd probably be fine.
Is it offensive to you to see a topless man?
Not really. It's just you were wearing the same shirt every day, and now you're wearing no shirt. So it's like, what's going on? You got to straighten that out.
Well, the one shirt he has is in the washer.
No, I've got more than one shirt. But yeah, you're right. I do have a tendency to wear the same shirt a couple days in a row sometimes. You really can't get away with that for long in the summertime, though, because, it's actually hot outside in New Hampshire. It's like 90-something degrees these last few days in New Hampshire. So, I mean,
listen, let me tell you something, okay? I was in Florida a couple days ago, and I didn't have to take my shirt off. I was fine. It's humid there. There's freaking alligators, okay? I was fine.
Well,
anyway,
I'm curious what alligators have to do with wearing a shirt.
Well, there's alligators in Florida. There's, snakes that'll poison you, things like that. So you really don't want to be walking around shirtless because they'll see you as a target. Basically, they see you as kind of like in your primitive form, and they'll come after you when you see that. But when you
alligators don't chase.
No, wait a minute. Really?
Okay, I'm going to put you in a pit of alligators, and we'll see.
It's a common myth. What if it's hungry? I mean, you don't think the gator's going to chase after you if it hasn't eaten?
Gator will eat
hold
your
on,
leg off.
hold on. So the claim is if you're being chased by an alligator, run zigzag and the alligator won't catch you.
Yeah.
Mythbusters tried getting alligators to chase them, and the alligators won't chase. And the guy running the alligator farm, he was just standing there laughing, and he explained that the way alligators attack their prey is, like they're the type of thing where it just like sneaks up and then
jump at you.
And if it doesn't get the prey on that time, then it just goes and finds something else. It's not like a jaguar or a cheetah that is going to chase you.
Well, thank goodness for Mythbusters, man, and clarifying that.
You can also eat Pop Rocks and drink a Pepsi, and it's not going to cause your stomach to explode.
Good to know.
That's alligators, though. I'm not talking. That's crocodiles are a different league.
Thanks for the call, Otis. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Let's talk.
Did I say crocodiles?
I don't know.
I thought I said alligators. He said crocodiles. You know how you can tell the difference?
The nose.
One will see you later. The other will see you in a while.
Let's talk to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Are you being chased by alligators in New Mexico?
No,
but we have this really high-tech cars now. It's called a cart trap to catch the thieves.
A what?
Car thieves, and it's a police car, but it's there to trap the auto thieves.
Oh.
And then I guess it's got and it locks the car.
So it's like a bait. It's like a bait car, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we got these bait cars, and you know what? It kind of reminds me of, like, I have these cockroach traps.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sticky, and it can't move, and it's like catching cockroaches. These auto thieves. So we only had like 3,000 cars stolen so far this year. It actually went down by 16%.
Now, normally, Sarah, when you call the show, you're very upset about cars. You don't like the fact that cars are on the roads and threatening pedestrians like yourself. You're very, very concerned with cars running through red lights and the existence of cars. You like the idea of self-driving cars because it takes humans out of the equation. Wouldn't you support car theft? I mean, because ultimately the car thieves are, in a lot of cases, stealing the cars in order to take them to a chop shop where they get, chopped up into parts and destroyed. I mean, shouldn't you support car thefts from that perspective?
Well, you know what? I'm really against the crime here in Albuquerque.
All right, well, that's good. I'm glad you've got your priorities straight on this issue.
Well, that's the whole point behind it. But I think it's so cute that our city has stepped up and used this like really high technology. It must have a GPS system where it follows the driver, and when it's a safe place, that's when it stops the car and it locks them in. And so it's just really exciting. I was told that they put them in like bad neighborhoods where they do the most auto thieves. And it's like if you catch a couple of these, you pretty much caught most of it, because it's a repeat offender. It's just like maybe 30 of them that steals like most all of the cars.
I mean, most of this, if you're a car thief, you're probably a professional car thief. Most people are probably not stealing a car just on a whim or on a dare or something like that. It's probably somebody stealing more than one car over time.
There is, sort of like the high school joyride sort of
that does
thing,
happen, yeah.
Which does happen occasionally, but again, they're
if it's a
generally
joyride,
doing
get
it like
back.
more than once.
Right. If it's a joyride, they're going to ditch it somewhere after they're done, and then somebody's going to find it, and you're going to get it back. If it's an actual car thief, it's probably going to get chopped up, and you're going to see it again. Sarah, thanks for calling.
They recycle it.
What?
What they do is they take it to Mexico from here, or so close, and they change the VIN number.
Yeah.
And they resell it, and they find out that it's a stolen car like 3 months later. When they pull you over, it's like, oh, you're driving a stolen car that somebody stole.
That would be unpleasant to find it out that way. Thank you very much, Sarah, for the call tonight. Appreciate the crime update. And yeah, it's true. According to some story, here's a story from 2017. KRQE in Albuquerque reporting on a repeat car thief. He's been busted again, this time in a city bait car. Police believe 21-year-old Anthony Serna took the car in northeast Albuquerque. They were able to track him all the way to wherever it was they tracked him. And police video showed Serna completely unaware that his joyride was about to come to an end, turning up the radio and even plugging in his phone to charge while he was in the car that he had stolen. So I guess the idea is you get a car, load it up with some cameras, hidden cameras, dash cam or something like that, and get some GPS going on there and just leave it in a place where cars tend to get stolen, leave the doors unlocked or the windows down or whatever. Now, is that entrapment?
Good question.
Because police supposedly aren't allowed to entrap, but on the other hand, who could really be against this, right? Like, I mean, if you're actually busting somebody stealing a car, it's hard to really say, well, the police were wrong, to do this. And I'm not really sure what the definition of entrapment is. If entrapment actually has to do with a police officer doing something to directly entice a person into committing a criminal act, as opposed to just leaving a thing in a place.
Right. So the definition from dictionary.com is the luring by law enforcement agents of a person into committing a crime.
Right, and I think the agent has to do some sort of
persuading of, hey, you should really probably go steal that car over there. Right. That car looks like it's unlocked. You should go try to steal that particular car.
Yeah, or like in a prostitution situation where they're pushing to try to get somebody to hire them or whatever. So I think just leaving a thing in a place probably wouldn't count legally as entrapment. But again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not familiar with the legal definition.
And then some of the stories that we've covered about high school students that were going to be valedictorians that wound up buying drugs for somebody that turned out to be an undercover agent. And what I think most reasonable people would say
is entrapment.
That's definitely entrapment, wound up not being found to be entrapment because reasons.
So, toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE like freedom. If you like the bait idea, the bait car, there are actually some pretty entertaining YouTube videos. You search for bait car, bait bike, and their pranksters put stuff out for the bad people to take, and they get pretty hilarious video of it.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation, a difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free if you want to join us on the radio here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Forkfest 2019. You can mark your calendar for the tentative dates of June 13th through the 18th. And it will be, I guess I should say, until the 18th. It's hard to really explain how the end of Forkfest goes because it sort of melds into the beginning of the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
It ends at noon, and the other festival begins at noon.
So if you missed Forkfest this year, it was a great event for its second year. I would say the attendance was up by probably at least 3 times what it was its first year. And it was obviously very small its first year, and it was still fairly intimate this time around, but there were a lot more people there this time. If you missed it, come to year number 3 in 2019 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest, of course, is a fork of other libertarian camping events in the woods, and this one is decentralized, which means no one is in charge, which means that everybody is in charge of their own selves and what they do. So if you just want to go hang out with other libertarian types in the woods and, do campfire-y things and whatever, you can do that. If you want to create a thing for others to do, you can do that as well. So, Darryl, you did some events, some sort of athletic events.
Yes.
There was a party that was thrown by Jim Babb, longtime listener of Free Talk Live.
His
Babb
party
family.
was better attended than my party earlier in the day on the same day.
It wasn't pouring rain during his party, so that probably was
So,
a
like, the
factor.
half dozen people that were in the gazebo, we were stranded in the gazebo.
That's kind of
for
fun,
a couple
though.
of hours.
That's kind of fun. And, intimate. And it was Jim Babb's party. It was the second time, because Babb threw that party the first year.
Yes.
And so his was the only recurring event that happened at Forkfest.
Other than broadcast of Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live being there. I don't count Free Talk Live. I mean, yeah, we're there, but we're sort of like a fixture. Anyway, you go to forkfest.party and learn more about the event. It's all completely unofficial. There's an unofficial forum, a Telegram chat room where you can connect with other Forkfesters. Forkfest.party. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, we go to David in New Jersey calling from Twitch. And you can watch us at Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, David.
Oh, my God, I feel so great. It's Ian and Darryl. I love your show. I feel, oh, my God, it's great.
Well, that's very nice of you. What were you
Finally.
actually calling about? I appreciate the accolades.
Yes, well, I was calling about the Trump and collusion with Russia and the spying and all.
Yeah.
But I want to get back, like that monster that called in earlier talking about the youth does not have a choice. I mean, I'm a diehard libertarian, and I think that children, the youth, they have a choice in what they want to do. And it's not right for what these people want to do and call you. It's wrong.
Well, I mean, anybody can call this show and they can say anything they want as long as it doesn't, put our radio stations in jeopardy of losing their license. We'll let it on the air pretty much. I appreciate your concern, but, what were your comments otherwise? Go ahead.
I was watching the show on Twitch, and I'll tell you what, I love it. Like, you're not wearing the shirt, and the other guy, he wanted to say something about that, but I think you're beautiful. I'm gay myself, so I don't care what they have to say. If you got a body like yours,
well, the fact is, if you're on
right?
Twitch, and thank you for that. I'll take the compliment. I appreciate it. The fact is, if you're on Twitch and you're not an attractive female, you're just not going to do as well as like the attractive females on Twitch. So I got no problem with the gay guys.
I wonder if that's why Lloyd
tuning
keeps asking for Lauren Rumpler naked.
Because he wants to have an attractive female on Free Talk Live?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not really into Lauren Rumpler, but some people obviously are.
What's this whole camping thing? I'd love to go out and go camping. When I was a young man, I used to go camping up in the Catskill Mountains. And, we had a great time up there. I mean, I was young, and we would get naked, do a lot of things. And we had a lot of great times, Well,
I don't think anybody got naked publicly at Forkfest, although...
He didn't necessarily say his nakedness was public.
That's true. I just wanted to announce that there weren't any naked people at Forkfest this year. That doesn't mean there won't ever be at Forkfest, because I suspect the prude types will not be likely to attend Forkfest. They will likely stay away from that event, given there isn't some sort of central control committee that's in charge and can, chastise people for being topless or whatever. There was one guy one year at Porkfest who wore a loincloth, and apparently that offended some families.
Do you know why he decided to put on a loincloth?
No, I don't recall.
There was a
No, why
woman
is
that was walking around without a shirt, and somebody complained to the Porkfest organizers.
Yeah.
And she was told, you have to put a shirt on. And he was like, oh, it's like that, is it? All right.
So
let me fashion a
stripped down.
loincloth.
Nice. Hey, David, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
And from what I heard, he wore it Scottish style.
I wouldn't know what that is. I don't know enough about
Nothing
loincloths.
under the loincloth.
Oh, right, like a kilt.
Yes.
But much smaller and skimpier. And
Yes.
so on.
Scottish style of kilt is nothing underneath.
I think his girlfriend was actually at Forkfest this year, if I recall correctly. I didn't see him, though. Anyway, the toll-free number
He was
here-
not there. He had to work.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You know, one group that definitely would not support loincloths or toplessness at an event like this would be the Taliban. Taliban would not like that. However, Trump is apparently seeking some kind of talks with the Taliban. And according to the New York Times, the Taliban have long said they will first discuss peace only with the Americans who toppled their regime in 2001, but the United States has mostly insisted the Afghan government must take part. The recent strategy shift, which was confirmed by several senior American and Afghan officials, is intended to bring those two positions closer and lead to broader formal negotiations to end the Afghan war. The shift to prioritize initial American talks with the Taliban over what has proved a futile Afghan-led, Afghan-owned process stems from a realization by both Afghan and American officials that President Trump's new Afghanistan strategy is not making a fundamental difference in rolling back Taliban gains. While no date for those talks has been set, and the effort could still be derailed. And apparently there's an update that you found, Darryl, where the Afghan government is fully against
Antiwar.com says Afghan officials issued a flurry of statements on Tuesday rejecting the idea of U.S. holding direct talks with the Taliban, saying that any negotiations would have to be led by the Afghan government.
And so we'll see how this ends up panning out. They say here the willingness of the United States to pursue direct talks is an indication of the sense of urgency in the administration to break the stalemate in Afghanistan. They say not long after he took office, Trump reluctantly agreed to provide more resources to field commanders fighting the Taliban, adding a few thousand troops to bring the American total to about 15,000. But a year later, the insurgent group continues to threaten Afghan districts and cities and inflict heavy casualties on the country's security forces. The government controls or influences 229 of Afghan's 407 districts, and the Taliban has control of 59 of them. The remaining 119 districts are contested, according to the Office of the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction. Providing more authority to American diplomats, a move that was decided on last month by Trump's national security aides, is seen as part of a wider push to inject new momentum into efforts to end the war. Those efforts include a rare ceasefire last month, increased American pressure on Pakistan to stop providing sanctuary to Taliban leaders, and a rallying of Islamic nations against the insurgency's ideology. Grassroots peace movements in the region have also increased pressure on all sides. It's interesting. I had not been, following the situation at all. It sounds like the United States government, once again, is not making any progress in this quagmire in Afghanistan, and maybe they're looking for a way out. It would be nice to see that happen. If more develops, I hope you'll let us know if we don't let you know. More coming up.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Jessica Armand, creator of the fluoride-free oral care brand My Magic Mud. You're going to love our new products. Our cutting-edge oral rinses deeply soothe your mouth and fight cavities naturally. Our breath spray, My Magic Mist, will invigorate your senses with essential oils of peppermint and eucalyptus. Our clinically proven toothpaste and tooth powders whiten your teeth and detoxify your mouth. Buy discounted bundles direct at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off with coupon code GCN10. mymagicmud.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Hager physicists have created quantum slacks. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The stunning announcement that a team of Hager physicists has successfully developed quantum slacks was made this morning at a press conference in Philadelphia. According to Dr. Daniel Chang, head of the Hager team, conventional notions about the physical properties and possibilities of slacks have been turned on their heads.
We are on the verge of unzipping the secrets of creation and peering into the pants of God himself. It appears the very fabric of the universe may well be a smart cotton twill weave.
However, Chang urged caution in further research after tests conducted last month at the Hager Pants Propulsion Collider Laboratory in Dallas suggested the possible existence of so-called anti-pants, which could, in theory, initiate a chain reaction resulting in no pants at all. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Are you into cryptocurrency? Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? Do you want people to learn about crypto? Well, one of the best ways to introduce people to cryptocurrency is to give some to them. And the Crypto Tip makes that easy at cryptotip.org. Right now, it's in beta. While it's in beta, it is Dash only, but at some point we may add some other cryptos to Crypto Tip. It's a printable, business card-sized paper tip that you can leave with a server or somebody that you like. You appreciate the service they've given you. You want them to have a chance of getting some cryptocurrency. I recommend you leave it in addition to a good cash tip. That way the person will take it seriously. They might actually want to look at it. That way they're not insulted, like, oh, this jerk just left me a piece of paper. I'm not going to look at that. So you want to make sure you do it on top of a good cash tip. Go to cryptotip.org. You can make as many tips as you want, and you can do it by default. You can choose 0% donating to the site, so you can do it for free, meaning that you still have to pay for the tip, whatever the amount's on the tip, but on top of that, there's no cost to the site. Or there is an option to donate like 5% to the site's administrator, the programmer, the brilliant libertarian who created this. It wasn't me. I can't program. But it was actually based on the original Bitcoin tip, the BC tip at bctip.org. So kudos to that guy for coming up with the concept. And we just took it and made it so we could do it with other things besides Bitcoin. So go to cryptotip.org and get your tips printed out and leave them in places, and people might actually get some crypto, get introduced, get turned on to cryptocurrency. As we continue here, hey, so here's the good news out of Georgia, which I've been teasing for a couple of days now.
You have, yes.
Lawrence County, Georgia. This story coming from...
It's generally not nice to tease people from Georgia.
I've never, I actually can't say I've never been...
But in this case, you're not actually teasing people from Georgia, you're teasing
everybody
a story.
Well, there could be somebody in Georgia listening, but I've actually been to Georgia once.
You would have driven through it on the way from Florida.
I wasn't counting that. I actually had stayed in Georgia with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and it was actually kind of cold in Georgia. Anyway, Georgia jury finds marijuana user not guilty in dispute with state laws, according to John Vibes, over at his Steemit profile, at John Vibes. Lawrence County, Georgia, Yvonne Mondrea McCoy is a medical marijuana patient in a state where the plant is still illegal and was recently in court facing charges of possession and manufacturing. McCoy grew cannabis for his own personal consumption to treat severe headaches and other pain that he's suffered since he spent 2 weeks in a coma in 2003. Instead of attempting to fight the case against him on grounds that the evidence against him was wrong, McCoy instead argued that the laws were wrong. He was honest about his experience and his medical use of cannabis during the trial, and the jury acquitted his case, despite the evidence against him. McCoy's lawyer, Catherine Bernard, said McCoy is not the type of person who belongs behind bars. Quote, the jury appreciated his honesty throughout the case, including testimony at trial and statements to police, and recognized that a good, hardworking man living a quiet life and not bothering anyone didn't deserve a felony conviction for his actions, unquote. And again, according to his defense attorney, this is just the most recent case of a jury nullification victory for cannabis users, but the strategy is becoming increasingly popular. For those who do not know, jury nullification is basically the right for any juror to not only judge the facts of the case, but also actually judge the validity of the law itself. This means that if a jury feels that a defendant is facing an unjust charge, they actually have the right to rule in the defendant's favor, even if they're technically guilty under the court's standards. So if you've got evidence that's just case closed, you got caught red-handed growing marijuana, you're tending the plants when they raided, they know it was yours, they've got everything against you. If you can convince a jury that it's wrong to charge you with this crime because of maybe appealing to their sense of morality and fairness or whatever, or that maybe the jury themselves has had experience with marijuana and they know it's not a crime, they know there's no victim to these crimes, then if they vote not guilty, it's completely legal for them to do that. Now, in a lot of cases, the courts do not want you to know about this. In fact, there's one particular court in Florida, in Orlando, that has arrested jury nullification outreach activists for firing outside of the courthouse on court property. And
you had said that this guy had some medical conditions, correct?
Yes, he did.
So Georgia, I was just looking, Georgia does have some kind of medical marijuana. I don't know if he necessarily qualified for that medical marijuana, but it is important here that in his circumstances, he was growing for personal use for medicinal purposes.
Correct.
So that probably helped sway the jury.
It could.
Whereas if it was just some guy that was growing because I like to get high, probably wouldn't have wound up getting a not guilty.
It is Georgia, so you may be right about that, but perhaps things are changing to where you could actually have a jury nullified just based on this law is bad, even for recreational.
It also depends on what part of Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know where Lawrence County is, but somebody could find that out. So, considering the fact that most of the nonviolent offenses on the books today are extremely unpopular for a variety of reasons, you would think that jury nullification would be household knowledge or taught in schools. However, this is a very well-guarded secret, with many judges actually preventing the defense from informing juries of their right to nullify laws they feel are unjust. In fact, in 2016, New Hampshire Its House became the first state in the nation to consider a bill that would require courts to inform juries of their right to vote not guilty when the verdict would produce an unjust result. I don't believe that particular bill passed, but they did consider that.
Correct. And they didn't say it passed. They just said they considered it.
Just making it clear.
Yep.
But
and
at some
Lawrence
point, we
County
might get that.
is kind of about north-ish, not too far outside of Macon.
At some point, though, they might...
Central, kind of.
We might actually see jury nullification laws passed here in New Hampshire. There is a continuing push for it.
Right.
There's a good amount of activism that's done here to inform juries of their right to judge the case, to judge the law itself, not just the facts in the case. It's ultimately what jury nullification can do.
Right.
Now, jury nullification can be used in the reverse. It can be used, like, I don't know if you call it jury affirmation or something, like whatever the opposite is, but ultimately a jury could also convict somebody even without the facts in the case matching, simply because they wanted to punish that person in that case. So there's another side to it. But attorney Catherine Bernard could not immediately be reached for comment, but her posts on Facebook suggest the judge attempted to block her from discussing jury nullification in court. She wrote on her social media, quote, "Today I quoted Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 11 of the Georgia Constitution to the jury. The judge interrupted and told them it was, quote, not a correct statement of the law, unquote. The judge took an oath to uphold that Constitution. What's going on here?" she wrote. It is sadly common for judges to prevent talk of jury nullification in their courtrooms, as cannabis activist Ed Fortune, a.k.a. NJ Weedman, learned during one of his jury nullification victories. Fortune was passionate in his closing statements of his 2012 trial, wearing a shirt that said marijuana, it's okay, it's just illegal, and telling the jury that he had been munching on edibles throughout the whole trial. Then at one point, he was nearly held in contempt of court for trying to advance his jury nullification argument. In the years since, Fortune has faced constant harassment from the authorities and has been arrested on numerous occasions. Luckily, he was still able to win over the jury earlier this year when he was found not guilty after spending over 400 days in jail on trumped-up witness tampering charges, which were related to a prior marijuana case. You know, Fortune is, NJ Weedman is a real hero for jury nullification. Yes. He's somebody who, like our friend Rich Paul, faced down some pretty serious charges, and unlike Rich Paul, Fortune was victorious thanks to jury nullification, and he has relied on the kindness of juries to get him out of various different charges.
And is he ever going to leave New Jersey?
He's left New Jersey to go to California sometimes.
No, I mean, like, no longer consider New Jersey his residence.
I doubt it. He seems to be one of those guys, like, that's his home. That's where he's gonna die.
Would love to have him up here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, he's a super cool guy. I've never actually had the chance to meet him, but we've had him on the show a number of times over the years. Some more coming up here. You can join us. Our toll-free number, 855-450, free like freedom in the remaining moments. We've got enough time for you. It is Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Have you had credit challenges, divorce, bankruptcy, or just haven't established your credit yet? If so, getting a decent car loan can be tough. The good news is that there is a place where you can get a car loan at a fair price regardless of your credit situation. Auto Loan Express can make it happen now when you visit newcar99.com. Here's the deal. If you have a regular job, then there's no reason to keep taking the bus or repairing that old junker. Go to newcar99.com today and fill out our simple online application. We accept over 99% 99% of applicants and can get you behind the wheel of your new car with just a few strokes of your keyboard. No hassles, no third degree. Just fill out the simple online application and start shopping for your next car. So when you're ready to get on the road with your new car loan, visit us online at newcar99.com, where we accept 99% of all applications. Newcar99.com. If you have a job, then you qualify. Here's to you and your new car. Visit newcar99.com. newcar99.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Enough time for you if you want to jump on the phones right now. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Don't forget, we got an AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. If you like what we do on Free Talk Live, if you like the fact that we're here 7 nights a week talking about freedom and liberty and peace and cryptocurrency on the radio, over 190 radio stations coast to coast. You want us to get to 300 stations? It could happen. It's going to take some marketing. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some amping of Free Talk Live. It's the Free Talk Live amplifiers who contribute $5 a month to Free Talk Live, on their own volition, because we give everything away for free. So it's a way for them to help us spread these messages further on the radio and also online as well. You get some cool perks. It's really the amplifiers that make a huge difference in our ability to reach out to new radio stations. It's effectively our marketing budget, and we really appreciate everybody that supports us. And it is a select group. It's approximately only about 200 of our listeners globally. So if you want to become one of those Free Talk Live amplifiers, we sure would appreciate it. It's $5 a month. You can use any major credit card. You can use your PayPal. You can use Bitcoin BTC. Donate how you want. You get cool perks. Get the full details over at amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. Let's talk to Marcus. He's on the line on the Discord, on-air call-in line room, calling from Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Marcus.
I had two subjects I guess I want to talk about, but let me get the one out of the way. Regards to that caller earlier, talking about the FBI raid and all.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of small government and all, so I was thinking, okay, see, Vice.com, they said was a Playpen raid, that it grabbed the IP addresses, from the child porn section.
Yeah, so what you're referring to is the federal government took over a darknet website called Playpen. It was a child porn sharing web forum that they then began operating from their own server.
For a couple of months.
It was a couple of weeks, where they put what they call a network investigative technique, which is the sort of bureaucrat code for a hacking tool, basically, on that site. That tool somehow revealed, so again, this was on Tor, it was on an anonymized network purportedly, but somehow they were able to identify the computers of, I think it was around 1,000 plus 1,300 different computers around the world, and they then conducted multiple raids on various different IP addresses.
They did was they found IP addresses, not
Correct.
necessarily computers, which
Sure.
are separate things.
Well, actually, what they found, according to the claim, Darryl, was they found identifying information for specific computers at those IP addresses. So,
Okay.
So the network investigative tool was somehow able to transmit not just the IP address.
So that
of
would
the
reveal
computer.
the MAC address.
It would reveal things like MAC address or the type of operating system on that computer. So they did have some idea of which computer they were looking to find when they conducted these raids.
Okay,
And
so when they found
that's the answer.
when they got the IP, so it came to your residence. So I'm thinking, now you didn't give over your hard disk, because of sources like journalism and all that.
I don't know if you're familiar with what happens when a raid happens, but they take whatever it is they want to take. So they took 50-something storable devices, flash drives, hard drives, everything. You don't get to decide whether or not to give them something. So they've had these things for more than a couple of years at this point, and nobody has been charged. I happen to live here at the LRN studios, but I'm not the only person who lives here, and there, of course, are dozens of people who work here.
Right. There were a lot of people that had the password for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And it's entirely possible that somebody relayed that password to somebody else that pulled up. There's a stop sign not that far from the studio, and a signal could reach out that far.
It could.
Who knows? If that's the case, couldn't you then in turn, decrypt your hard disk, all that, give it to the FBI, and turn around and sue them if they don't have probable cause?
Well, you could sue to get the equipment back, but ultimately, they're going to claim they had probable cause because they ran a child porn site for 2 weeks, and they claim that somebody from this IP address visited that site. So, that was their probable cause. Now, whether or not they used legal techniques to gather that information is another question.
Right, and they've not revealed whatever
No.
that technique was, have they?
They have not revealed the technique, and they were actually in a position in one court trial, I think it was in Washington State, where the person that they had arrested basically challenged the FBI's evidence and said, well, if you've got this evidence, you need to show how you got the evidence, because that's kind of like standard. So
you're saying like a fruit of the poisonous tree kind of?
You could argue, yeah, you could say that fruit of the poisonous tree is the doctrine that if the feds or the government used illegal methods to acquire evidence, that it's no longer admissible because of that. There are certain exemptions to that doctrine, like, for instance, they can use the exemption of, well, we didn't intend to break the law. We had the best of intentions, and we didn't know we were breaking the law. They can make those arguments, but ultimately what happened in this one case was the defense said, hey, you need to show how you got this information about the client. And the federal government, the FBI, said, well, we don't want to show that. We don't want to reveal the network investigative technique, their hacking tool. They didn't want to reveal any information about it. And so the judge basically said, well, you either have to reveal it or you have to drop the case. So they dropped all the charges against that particular individual.
Okay, now, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like focusing on the techniques, whether it is moral, legal, or what have you, shouldn't that go by the wayside when you're talking about, pedophilia and child pornography?
No, and the reason why it shouldn't...
honestly, it seems like that's how you were pushing it, which I don't think is a good look to focus on that.
And the thing that people get caught up on this and seem to forget is the FBI was running child porn websites.
Yeah, and therefore distributing child pornography, which is ultimately what they were doing. But I think it's important. I think it's important to answer his question, because it is a good question. Shouldn't the rules of evidence go by the wayside, is what he asked, when you're dealing with child pornography? And the answer is no. And the reason why the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, came out and put together a group of attorneys to take on these cases is because this is sort of the camel's nose under the tent kind of thing, where if you put the rules of evidence by the wayside, then those same network investigative techniques can be used against other people, whether it be political dissidents.
Or they can just say that they use the network investigative technique against anybody, and if they just wind up making the charge sound really bad, then, on things that sound really bad, you don't get to present a defense, then they can just throw anybody in jail for anything.
Right, it's a secrecy issue.
That you did something.
If they don't have to show the chain of custody, how they gathered evidence, if you throw that out the window because you don't think that the crime, or you think that the accusations are serious or whatever, you've thrown out the entire presumption of innocence. You've thrown out the entire facade of a fair judicial system, which we all know is a bunch of BS anyway. But at the very least, they have to follow certain rules, and if you're throwing those rules out the window, it's only a matter of time before that it gets expanded and used against other people who aren't child pornographers or whatever.
Okay, now was this website pre-existing, or did they create this?
They didn't create it, allegedly. I mean, who knows, what the true story is there. I think they came after the person who they allege had operated it.
Right, but it's
initially.
also come out that there were like 24 other websites that were being created. Some of those may have been created by the FBI.
Yeah, who knows?
We will never know.
Yeah. Did you receive your computer back from them?
Unfortunately, no. There's only one piece of equipment that I've gotten back. It was in the early days. I requested my video camera back because it's not a hard drive based camera.
It had no internal storage.
Right, it's an SD card camera, so they could pop the SD card out, keep that. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when they gave it back. They certainly didn't have to. So my attorneys did make that request, and I'm grateful because it was actually a pretty nice camera. So I'm glad to have it back. I mean, if I can be grateful in a situation like that. I also told the FBI thanks for not shooting my dog. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Marcus. Appreciate hearing from you on the Discord on-air call-in line room. Let's go to Jackson in Lafayette, Louisiana. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Jackson.
How you doing, man? It's my first time calling in. I like what you're doing. I just want to talk about Bill Pascrell.
Who?
And how he want to subpoena Marina Gross about the translation. Know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I'm not sure what this particular issue is that you're calling about, and we don't really have a whole lot of time to talk about it. It sounds like it's important to you, so I want to invite you to call back on another night when we do have time. Jackson, thank you for the call. We're on, by the way, live 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time. 7 nights a week. So if you want to get on and have time to talk about things, it's always best to call earlier in the show rather than in the very last segment when it's always questionable whether or not you're going to get in. So we'll see you tomorrow. Online in the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds